Are you ready to experience the rich interconnection of spirituality, orientation, and identity? If so, plan to attend Liberating Your Divine Identity, a retreat at Unity Village during Pride Month, June 9th to the 12th. This soul-filled retreat is facilitated by LGBTQIA+ Unity ministers, with workshops and ceremonies to cultivate a deeper awareness of our spiritual nature. Register at unityvillage.org/I Am Divine 2022.
Unity Online Radio, the voice of an awakening world. Thank you for tuning in for this Unity Partner Program. Unity Online Radio partners with spiritual leaders from organizations whose mission and messages complement Unity's. We are pleased to bring you this program on Unity Online Radio, the voice of an awakening world.
Thanks for joining us for Living on Purpose with spiritual psychology doctoral candidate Jessie Harriet from Atlanta, Georgia. This program is where psychology is blended with ancient wisdom. Welcome to the program. Here's your host, Jessie Harriet.
Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Living on Purpose. I'm excited to be back. I trust you all have been having a blessed new year. We have some exciting things planned for this season. I always call it my individuation process, and I thank you all for joining me. And for those that are new to tuning into this show, what I mean by individuation is just the process of integrating all there is to know about yourself and who you are, the parts of yourself that you like and don't like. Carl Jung used the term individuation all the time, but I believe that individuation is the path to wholeness, and I believe it's one step closer to accessing all of who you are in order to share your gifts and talents and ideas with those around you and to do what it is you've been called to do on the planet. And my next guest is Dr. Phil Cooke, who's an expert at this same type of distributing this information. His book blessed me because I discovered his book over the break. And while I was at the bookstore, I came across this book in a funny sort of scenario. I was reading something else, and the book kind of sort of fell off the shelf, and I saw it. And the title of the book that fell off the shelf was One Big Thing, or Discovering Your Next Big Thing. And that book was kind of spot on. But I'll have Dr. Phil tell you a bit more about it himself. Phil Cooke, are you on the line?
I am. That's a great story, Jesse. I think that's divine intervention if I've ever heard it.
I know. I'm not lying. Like, I'm always in the bookstores, used bookstores, new bookstores, checking out the shelves, looking for new authors for my own personal journey, and to share with the folks that listen to the show. And I was reading something else, and I don't know if I bumped the bookshelf, if the person on the opposite end of the bookshelf bumped it, but it just kind of fell off the shelf, and I saw it, and I was like, Phil Cooke. It's like, never heard this particular guy. And I checked the book out, and it was amazing because you were direct. And I think this was in your book. You said something along the lines of, have you ever read a book where you wish you could just kind of jump through the pages and cut through all the quote-unquote baloney and fluff stuff and get right to the point, and you were just kind of hammering it in, and I had to swallow hard because it kind of gave me a little indigestion there. But it was good stuff because you cut straight to the quiver.
It's good to know my books jump off the shelf and attack people, so that's a great thing. I'm thrilled. That's a great story, man. Thank you.
True story. For those that are new to your work on this side, because you've been out for a long time, not just writing bestsellers, but I mean in production work. I checked out some of your stuff. You do some amazing work. Tell us a bit about yourself.
Well, we have a production company in Burbank, California called Cooke Pictures, and we help, to be perfectly honest, we help churches and ministries and nonprofit organizations not stink at the media. The truth is so many nonprofits are doing great work across the country and around the world, but they don't know how to share their story out there. So we work with all kind of organizations trying to help them engage the culture more effectively. How do they tell their story about the great work they're doing? How do they get support for that work? And so it's a challenging. We've been able to shoot all over the country. I'm shooting today, as a matter of fact. Right after this interview, I'm going to San Jose to shoot a TV promo with NFL great Kurt Warner for this new show, The Moment, he's doing, where he helps people achieve that dream they've never been able to achieve in their life. So it's not a terrible job. It's certainly better than selling shoes at the mall, which is about the only other thing I'd be qualified to do.
But I love that. How were you able to discover blend your passion? Because I mean, if you check the website out, you're like an onion. You know, there's so many different layers to what it is that you're doing. Tell us a bit about the journey and what's it been like for you?
It's difficult. That's a great question, and it's such a challenge. And today we live in this incredibly distracted world. I mean, this hyper-competitive world of incredible choices. And so, especially with you add social media into the mix, we get distracted so much, and it's really hard to figure out what is that one big thing we're wired to do. It's kind of interesting. All these 20, 30 years that I've spent working with these organizations around the world, I discovered that the ones that break through, the ones that do exceptionally well, the ones that achieve greatness, are not the ones that are pretty good at a lot of things. They're ones who are extraordinary at one big thing. And so after thinking about that, I thought, what about people? Could that apply to people? And that's where the book came out of, and that's where the book, One Big Thing, that's where I really started writing, because I think it's so true with people. We need to focus.
Oh man, give us some tips on from that book. Those that haven't had a chance to buy it, I urge you to go out and get that book. It cuts through all of the fluff because it aggravates you when you're reading a good book and you're looking for some information. You have to read through all the stuff. I usually just break a book open and just check the middle of it out first to see if it's okay. You know, give us some pointers from the book, One Big Thing.
Well, I agree with you, by the way. I'm not a big positive thinker. I believe in realistic thinking. Let's figure out what the truth is and get to that real quick. So you're exactly right. Well, the things, you know, the title says it all, One Big Thing, discovering what you were born to do. And I've had so many people come up to me over the years saying, you know, Phil, I've worked my whole life. I've been a good guy. I've been successful maybe, but I've never figured out what I was really wired to do. I don't feel like I've accomplished what God put me on the earth to do. So that's the burden that the book came out of. And I think it's a matter of asking some very simple questions, oddly enough, as you know from reading it. It's not complex, it's not mystical, it's not scientific. The truth is finding out what are those things that you're really wired to do. And I ask 4 key questions, and I start with what comes easy for you. You know, it's shocking, but most people don't think that we all have a knack for something that we're better at than most people around us are. I talk with athletes a lot. They'll say, well, Phil, I could always catch a ball better. I could always dunk a basketball. I could always kick farther than anybody else. They just had this knack. And I say in the book, go back to your prom committee or your homecoming committee at high school, and remember you sat around a table and people said, well, Bob, you're a good leader. Why don't you be the host? And Susan, you're good with numbers. You do the budget. And John, you're creative. Why don't you come up with the theme? Through our lives, people notice those things about us that we're naturally born gifted with, and yet we forget about it. We grow up and we kind of lose that, and we go into a field that we're really not comfortable with, that we're not really wired to do, and we're miserable for the rest of our lives. So I always say start with sit back, think for a minute about what those things are that through your life you felt like, you know, I'm always the guy, for instance, that at the mall, I have to keep track of everybody. You know, when we go to the mall, you know, everybody just takes off in different directions, and Phil's got to be the one that keeps track of everybody. I'm like the Indian scout. And so I think figuring out that thing that you're wired to do is so incredibly important, and it's not that difficult to do. So that's the start. Right.
You know, what's crazy is that, have you ever bumped into those folks? I'm sure you have, that you can see that thing written all over them, and it's the thing that they don't want to do. Oh, I know how to do that, but I don't want to make any money for that. Or then you get the, I call them the green type that, I just want to share my gift with the world, but I don't want to be paid for it. You know, there's something seriously wrong with that. Although you might have good intentions, at the end of the day, you have to live.
Yeah, it sounds noble. You're exactly right, Jesse. It sounds noble, but the truth is, what if you could hook up what you're passionate about with a way to make a living? I mean, the second question I ask is that exact thing. What do you love? Let's stop for a minute and figure out, okay, what is it I really love to do? What is the job that I would want to do so badly that I'd work at Starbucks on the side in order to pay for it if I had to? What's that thing you'd risk getting paid less in order to do that dream job. So figure that out. And the truth is, it's not that hard to get from where you are to where you want to be. You can come up with a strategy.
Right.
And in the book, I have a section that talks about, don't be stupid. Don't go into your boss and just say, I figured out my one big thing. I'm quitting. Because it may take you a while to rev that thing up. For me, I wrote my first 2 books coming in the office at 6 in the morning so I could have 2 uninterrupted hours to write. And I did that for a couple of years before I launched my first books. And so sometimes it takes a transitional strategy to make it happen, but tap into the thing you love, and it's not that far-fetched that you could actually make a living from doing that. I think you're exactly right.
I have an incredible story that hit home for me. One of my mentors out here at Georgia Perimeter College, I was on my way because I discovered that I wanted to teach, and I just finished my bachelor's, and so I started a master's degree program, but it was in education, and I was about a quarter of the way through it, and he sat me down and he said, "Listen, Jesse, I understand you want to teach or whatever, but you're going to have to turn around." It's like, why is that? He said, because if you want to teach on the community college level or, the tech level or whatever, you're going to need specific skills. You're going to need to teach a specific discipline that they're hiring for. And right now, with the master's in education, if you were to complete it, you're going to have a tough time finding a job. And so I had to swallow hard. I had to find another major that resonated with me and start over again. And so I completed a master's of education. And from the point of that conversation, it took about almost 2 years for me to actually complete the degree. And then I started teaching. But then I noticed what he was saying was so true, because it was tough finding adjuncting positions with the master's in criminal justice, which is what they offer, things like that on the lower college level. But had I just had a regular master's in education, it would have been tough trying to teach, especially competing against other PhD candidates.
You bring up a great point, Jesse, and that is a dream is a wonderful thing to have, but unless you have a strategy for getting there, what's the point? You're never going to make it. It's like starting a marathon and getting up to the starting line and the gun go off and you take off, but you don't know where to run. You don't know where the route is. You've got to have a strategy for figuring out how to make your dream happen. And too many of us spend time, thinking about the dream, but we don't spend enough time thinking about how do we actually get there. And I think most people fail, not because they're not committed, not because they're not dedicated, not because they're not hardworking. Most people fail because they simply get distracted and they don't focus on what it takes to get from where you are to where you want to be.
Right. And I love the fact that this conversation has takeaways. Like you get caught up sometimes in so many conversations around the world, and you're stuck in like philosophy, and that's great, and it tickles your ears, and it makes you feel good and feel smart, and you get those good hormones flowing. But at the end of the day, you need takeaways. You need to be able to say, okay, I got realistic steps in order to fulfill my goal. That's
so true. It's like listening to a motivational speaker. It makes you feel great, but the next morning you wonder why you went. There's nothing, there's not much there. You need realistic, and I'm not criticizing motivational speakers. We all need motivation sometimes, but I think it's important that, you need real life steps. And I would encourage your listeners right now that whenever you hear someone speak, first of all, make notes. I discover the most successful people I've ever met always have a notebook in their back pocket. They always have a note-taking app on their iPhone or their Android. There's always, write this stuff down, because you never know where that idea that could change your life is going to come from. So I'm a big believer in writing it down. It's good.
Right. That's so true. Okay, I want to hit, because you're only on for 2 segments. You have so many books out. Your newest book, let's start there and work back. Well, no, let's talk about the newest book in the second segment.
Okay.
We talked about one big thing, Jolt. What was the motivation behind Jolt?
Jolt was about the fact that we live in the most changing, disruptive, distracted culture in the history of the world. 100 years ago, heck, 15 years ago, it wasn't nearly as crazy as it is today. Some researchers say that we're being bombarded with as many as 5,000 media messages every single day. We're being overwhelmed with communication, with media. So the truth is, how do we cut through all that clutter and understand how change can actually help us and not hurt us? So many of us get stuck. We get stuck. We want to lose weight. We want to go back to college. We want to get a promotion. We want to get a better job. We just don't know how to make it happen. So I wrote Jolt because I discovered a series of areas, 25 different things in your life that you really need to have in focus and in place in order to be able to withstand really difficult changes that happen in your life. So that came out of that, because so many people just can't navigate this incredibly changing culture that we live in. And if you're frustrated, and this is a great time because people are thinking about New Year's resolutions. If you're frustrated because you can't ever make your New Year's resolutions stick, you can't seem to make those changes happen in your life, Jolt is a great book for helping you kind of realign your life to get in a position where those changes can help you get to the next level.
Right. Can you give us a couple of pointers from the book of Jolt?
Oh, absolutely. I can give you a million pointers. I mean, there's so many things. One of the things in the book I talk about is develop personal cheerleaders. Mm-hmm. And what I talk about, what I mean is, we live in this world where we're going to hit a wall an awful lot. Obstacles are everywhere. Distractions are abundant. And the truth is, we're going to fail a lot. I talked to a guy yesterday that had so much trouble dealing with rejection that he said, I'm going to start a program of 100 days of rejection. Every single day, I'm going to go ask for something impossible and get rejected, and I'm going to learn to deal with it. I'm going to get used to it. I thought it was a riot. 100 days of rejection, it's called. He's calling it Hope from Nope. And I thought that was brilliant. But what personal cheerleaders do is, you need to surround yourself with people that believe in your dream. So many of us have. I've got a friend who's the most negative human being I've ever met. I mean, he's so negative. When he walks into a room, it feels like somebody left, and so he just sucks the air out. And I've decided I got to get away from that guy. I love him; he's my friend, but you know what? I cannot be around him very much. And so I've learned to surround myself with people that believe in my vision, that want to support me, so that when I do hit a wall, when I do get rejected, they can lift me up. They can empower me. They can support me and inspire me. And so I think it's who are the people you hang around with? That's a good question for your listeners today. Who are the people here's the deal. If you complain, if you spend your time complaining to somebody who can't help you fix the problem, you're wasting your time. Stop complaining to people who can't help you make change. So surround yourself with people that love you, that care about you, that support you, help you want to go to the next level. It can be a huge, huge step on the way to handling those kind of changes that life throws at you.
Right, I totally agree, and I can resonate with the other guy you mentioned about the no, because I mean, negative? Obstacles do come. No, not Mr. Well, yeah, him
the
too.
No guy.
Yeah, both of them. You have the negative person. If they're not a part of your friends, I'm sure somebody in your family has that Charlie Brown cloud over their head.
Well, you know what? And very often, Jesse, they're trying to be helpful. My friend actually thinks by popping my bubbles, by telling me why all my ideas don't work, or won't work, he thinks he's helping me. But he doesn't realize that he just undermines. You know, it's okay I want realistic feedback. I want people to tell me when I'm being a nut. But the truth is, I don't need constant streams of negativity coming at me. So I'd encourage the listeners today, be careful about who you spend your time with, because it rubs off. It is contagious. And
that is so
really
true.
Hold you back.
That is so true. I think back to when I first started teaching. Right after I graduated with my degree, I had this idea that I was going to instantly go in, and it was going to be, an open field, and that all the people with the PhDs from all the Ivy League schools, they were going to go to the big universities, and I was going to take this smaller territory here. And it was so difficult. I got about 35 no's before I got one yes, and that yes came because I had inspiration 3 o'clock in the morning to fill out an application, and I still had to go to work 9 o'clock that same morning. And I got a yes from that. And I was like, whoa. And I still think back to how that happened. And there was no angel that appeared before me. I didn't get a tickle on my foot or whatever, nothing crazy. It was just you know what? Let me just fill out this last one. I know they're going to say no, but I'm going to do it anyway. And sure enough, they said yeah. And it broke something for me. It was okay, now I know I really want to do this.
And you know what? You in the process, you kind of discovered your one big thing. And I think the power of discovering that one big thing, that thing you're wired to do in your life, is you can withstand rejection. You can withstand no. You can withstand criticism, because suddenly you realize, this is what God wired me to do. This is my DNA. This is who I am. And let me say this, Jesse. I think this is important for your listeners, that it's, your one big thing in the book. One big thing, when I talk about it, it's not about a job necessarily. It's not that your one big thing is to be a coach or to be an insurance salesman or be a teacher. Your one big thing is more of that. What is that overarching purpose for my life? What was I put on the earth to accomplish? And mine is to help people engage the culture around them. Mine is to I want to inspire people to get get their message heard? If you're a musician or a filmmaker or an artist or a writer, pastor, a business leader, how do you get your message heard? But I can do that in a lot of ways. I can consult with clients like we do at our company, Cooke Pictures. I can write books. I can speak at events and conferences. So there's many ways to do it. So when you discover that overarching real purpose, and, you know, some people use the word destiny for your life, what am I put on the earth to do? Then you can approach it in a lot of different ways.
I'm sorry to cut you off, Phil. We got to take a quick commercial break. That's my cue. Hold on, folks. Hold on to your seats. More with Phil Cooke when we return. Stay tuned.
Our goal at Unity Online Radio is to continue expanding our spiritual programming and growing our listening audience. To help us become an ever stronger voice in today's world, we ask for your support. Please visit www.unity.fm and click on Donate Now. Thank you.
Have you asked your soul what it wants? Or are you so busy meeting the needs of everyone else? Family, friends, children, bosses, that you haven't checked in with the part of you that matters most? Janet Connor asked this question and received an answer. Your soul wants 5 things. That's it. 5 things. Your soul wants to connect with Source, commit to values, serve a purpose, express itself creatively, and last, it longs to create a beautiful, abundant life. Janet Connor teaches 5 wisdom habits that meet those needs. You can take each course separately or register for the complete Your Soul Wants 5 Things series and receive $1,000 in bonuses for free. Visit janetconnor.com and explore all 5 courses in her signature series, Your Soul Wants 5 Things. Your soul will thank you.
What is the key to happiness? Would you like to find the fountain of youth? How about all the money and love that you could handle? Well, my friends, it is there for you. You just need to strip off the false beliefs that keep your divine inheritance from being attracted into your life. You need to be real. Be vulnerable. Be naked. What are you waiting for? Let's get naked. This transformational program with Reverend Heidi Allfrey is an invitation to explore and remove the blocks that keep you from emotional freedom. Listen to Heidi and her revealing guests as they embrace the power of spiritual nakedness as a guaranteed way to live an authentic and transparent life. Expose yourself to your greatness on Mondays at 3 p.m. Central Time. Let's get naked. No dress code required. Only on Unity Online Radio, the voice of an awakening world.
You gotta get rid of your butt. It's bigger than it would appear. It hinders your forward movement when you keep bringing up the rear.
Thank you for joining us for Living on Purpose. Here is your host, Jesse Harriet.
And we're back having a wonderful discussion with Phil Cooke, best-selling author, wonderful producer. If you haven't had a chance to meet him or check out his work, definitely log on to philcooke.com and check out Cooke Productions. All of you nonprofits and organizations out there, and allow him and his assistants to help you tell your story. I mean, because they do some wonderful work. I've seen some amazing things that I couldn't figure out how to do with iMovie and some of those Apple products myself. So you definitely want to check out the professionals here. But
you're very kind, Jesse.
Yeah, seriously, it's good work. To get back to what we were talking about, you were kind of cut off because we had to go to a commercial break. But could you repeat again what you were saying about? Were we talking about Jolt or?
Yeah, we were just talking about preparing, how to embrace the future, how to embrace the culture of change that's happening out there, and it's so incredibly difficult. Going back for a minute to the one big thing concept, I think that when you figure out that what you're wired to do, that really helps you get through periods of difficult change. And the truth is we're all going to go through tough change, and change is coming whether we like it or not. It's coming whether we're ready or not. And so I really wrote the book, One Big Thing, to help people figure out how to understand your wiring, what God put me here to do, and then it's going to help you get through much more difficult times. So I think it's a great. I'm thrilled that so many people like yourself are reading the book, and it's impacting their lives in such a positive way.
Oh yeah, it has. So over the break, we were talking about storytelling. You mentioned it during the first segment. And the beautiful thing about storytelling is that I've met in my own journey, and sometimes with myself too, because it's hard to peel through the layers. But my point is that I've met folks who have wonderful ideas, but you have to sit down with them sometimes for like 35 minutes or sometimes even a couple of days and peel through all the layers to find out, what it is they're talking about. What's their story, what's their thing, or what was their turning point in their life, and figure out a way to effectively communicate that story. So do you have any tips for us to kind of help us communicate ideas, better, or to kind of sort of dig through some of the different layers that are within our mind? Or
I don't care if you're a housewife or you're a business person or an artist, a musician, a writer, whatever. Most of us have a story. Well, I would say all of us have a story that we want to tell. That maybe, from a faith perspective, you may feel like God's put a story in your heart and something, a cause that you want to share with people. It may be a creative idea, maybe a movie idea, a book idea. I think the most important thing is just a couple practical things that I think can really help people is, number one, understand, that people skills are the most important skill you'll ever learn. They're more important than the skill it takes to write a book, to make a movie, to launch a business, because if you can't get along with people, if you can't inspire people, your ideas are never going to get very far. You really need to understand how to be articulate, how to speak to people, be comfortable with people, and I'd say we all need to spend more time just learning our people skills because it's very important. And I'll tell you this, if you can inspire and motivate people around you, you'll have a job for the rest of your life. I mean, you'll never be unemployed simply because you're like a magnet. People want to be around other people who inspire them. So I'd say, number one, learn people skills. Be able to negotiate with people, talk with people, inspire people, motivate them, encourage them. If you can do that, it'll be a huge step on the way to get your story told out there. And I think the second thing would be learn to articulate your story in a very short amount of time. In Hollywood, we have what we call the elevator pitch. The elevator pitch is if you got on an elevator with a movie executive and you went up a couple floors, in that short amount of time, could you pitch him your movie idea? And what I get people calling me all the time saying, Phil, I have a screenplay idea for a movie. What is it? And I ask them what it is. And they say, well, back in high school, I was not very happy. And, of course, my mom got divorced. And then my dad told me, shut up. I'm already tired of it. Learn to get to the point, tell me your story in a couple sentences, because if you don't know it that well, if you can't express that in a short, punchy little elevator pitch, as we call it, then you don't know the story well enough, and you need to go back to the drawing room. But if you happen to meet that investor, happen to meet that business person, the person that can make your dream happen, have your idea ready, be able to pitch it in a short, succinct amount of time. I think little things like that can make a huge difference for people.
Right.
So, and in fact, Jesse, sometimes it's not the power of your idea. It's the power of you being able to express it well. That can make a huge difference.
That is so true. I mean, you could become mesmerized by an awesome communicator. They can be talking about ABCs and 1, 2, 3s.
Yeah.
It's just the power of their presentation and how they're able to articulate, their points and their main ideas. That's like a gift from God.
That's right. And great leaders, just period. Forget, storytellers, leaders have the ability to really inspire people to accomplish something bigger than them. And so, if you think you're a leader and nobody's following you, you're just out for a walk. And
that's so true.
You need to be able to inspire people to join together to make a dream happen. And that dream could be your movie, it could be your business, it could be your church or your ministry outreach, whatever it is. It could be something important and significant. And I would encourage you, learn to inspire people. It makes a huge difference.
Wow, that's so true. Quick question. How do we separate? Yeah, we're doing great. This is amazing. Folks, we're having a wonderful discussion with Phil Cooke. If you're just tuning in, for those of you that have a compatible phone, I do want to mention that you can take the show with you on the go if you're in a hurry. Log on to www.unity.fm and click on the right-hand side of your screen. You should see a mobile app. You can download the Stitcher app, and it's compatible with select phones. Check to see if your phone is compatible, and take the show with you on the go. And you can also click the download button and download this show and all the rest of the shows from our past seasons for free. You can download them and listen to them, in your spare time. They'll definitely enrich your life. But to get back to my point, how do we separate what it is that we're doing? I don't know if you can separate them, but how do you get to the core of what it is you were sent here to do, or as much as at that moment?
Sure.
Because you have some people, like you said, like I said, just a one-liner that I'm a teacher, but how do you get to the core of what it is you're doing when you're constantly evolving?
Absolutely. That's very difficult. Well, let's go back to our 4 questions real quickly. I know we don't have a lot of time, but let's go back to our 4 questions. The first 2 that we discussed were, what comes easy for you? What's that thing you have a knack for that you seem wired to do that you're better than other people around you in most cases? Number 2, what do you love? What's the thing you're really passionate about? What would you do for free almost if you love it so much? But then there's 2 more questions that will help get to the core of what you're asking. And number 3 is, what drives you crazy? This is a weird question that people push back on, but I've discovered that the thing you hate the most is very often the problem you were born to solve. What is that? T.D. Jakes, the African-American pastor, calls it, your misery is your ministry. That's what a great way to put it. I believe we're wired to rub up against something that drives us nuts when we're the one that's supposed to fix it. I always give the Mother Teresa example. When she was working with the lepers in Calcutta in the gutter, she wasn't having a party. It wasn't a passion of hers. She wasn't thrilled to do it. It wasn't a lifelong dream. But when she saw the need, it broke her heart, and she realized, I've got to fix that. So very often I find people that do the greatest work, that accomplish the most, are people that don't necessarily love that job, but they hate it so much they feel a burden and a passion to fix it. So what's that thing that drives you crazy? And it may be a social cause like leprosy or feeding the hungry or building water wells in Africa or helping the homeless, but it also could just be something that drives you nuts about your iPhone. Maybe something about your policy at work that makes you crazy. Maybe that was what you were put in the earth to fix. Think about what makes you crazy. And then the last thing is, what do you want to leave behind? Last question, what do you want to leave behind? Do you want to get to the end of your life and say, I never missed an episode of Oprah, I never failed to put my status update in Facebook? Or do you want to look back over your life and think, wait a second, I did something that really mattered. I touched people's lives. I did something significant. I built something that lasts. So it's never too early. I don't care if you're in your 20s. It's never too early to start thinking about what's that one big thing you want to leave behind. What is your legacy? So those 4 questions, I think, if you can start to answer those 4 questions, and I go into much more detail in the book One Big Thing, much more detail that I'd encourage your readers to explore, but those are the 4 questions that start you on that roadmap, that journey, if you will, to finding what that thing you were wired to do, what you were put on the earth to accomplish, should be.
Wow, that's it in a nutshell. I want to talk a bit about branding while we still have you on the line.
Sure.
What's your ideas about branding? Because we all have a brand. It's kind of sort of like our reputation. But could you tell us a bit more about that?
Absolutely. A brand is, it's nothing scary. A brand is simply a compelling story that surrounds a person or a product or an organization. In other words, it's kind of a perception. You have a brand. Your radio program has a brand. I have a brand. Starbucks has a brand. Nike has a brand. President Obama has a brand. In other words, what do people think of when they think of you? It's that perception, and trust me, in today's incredibly hyper-competitive world, that perception matters more than ever, because people, let's take your radio show, for instance. Someone will come to your website to check out your radio show. If they don't like that website, they're never going to take the time to listen to your program. Likewise,
that's true.
My boss, if I pitch my boss an idea or a project, trust me, he's already made an impression of me from the way I dress, my attitude, my behavior, the way I work, so that he won't even listen to my proposal if those perceptions aren't right. So that brand, if you will, that story. So here's my word. We need to work to influence our perception, or we'll spend the rest of our lives at the mercy of other people who will. Who is going to tell the story of your life? Jesse? Or the people who listen to the program, or your critics? That's the thing. So I really encourage people, think about that story that surrounds you. What do people perceive about you? What do they think of when they think of you? And work to influence that to make it a more positive impression, because that's the key to them listening to your idea, opening up to your project, hearing your message. It's incredibly, incredibly important.
That's so true. There are a lot of folks who don't really believe in competition per se, and I'm kind of sort of like in between. A competition is, the idea of it is, it's very real. If you don't think so, just apply to do something that you really want to do. And when you get told no, it's not so much that, hey, this is a roadblock, but hey, somebody else got the job.
Yeah, it's not. That's a good point, Jesse. And maybe think about it not so much as competition, but choice. Mm-hmm. I work with churches a lot, and I tell pastors, there's a lot of churches in this town that people have a lot of choices. Why should they pick you? Your boss has a lot of employees to choose from. Why should he choose you? So what are those things that make you an unbelievably compelling choice over other people? Figure it out, because that's what your audience, your boss, your community, whoever you're trying to reach, that's what they need to know. And it's really about unlimited choice, and we need to figure out how to position ourselves so we're the guy that gets chosen.
Oh, man.
Are you getting blessed here?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is good.
That's
because,
funny.
like I said, this is all about, I love to share my own personal transformation. And there are a lot of interviewers that are out there. There are a lot of radio shows and a lot of outlets out there. But, it's great when you can actually participate in it. I was talking off air. I don't know if everybody agrees with this or not, but it's not really worth it to kind of sort of share a message that you don't partake of. If it doesn't work for you, how are you going to share it with somebody else?
You certainly won't be passionate about it. If it works for you, you will certainly be passionate. That happens in advertising. We work a lot in advertising, and you advertise products that you don't like or you would never use. Trust me, there's no passion there when you create that commercial. But if you're doing a commercial or a program or an advertisement for a product that you love, you'll knock yourself out. So you're exactly right. Exactly right. Very perceptive.
That's so true. Your next book, Unique. Could you give us a few pointers from that before?
It's just coming out. Just coming out. It's called Unique: Telling Your Story in the Age of Brands and Social Media. If you're an artist, a filmmaker, writer, a pastor, a teacher, a business person, if you have that message you want to share, I really wrote this book for what is a brand? How do you use social media? How do you use techniques to get that story told? How do you get your ideas out there? Because again, no matter how great your message is, no matter how brilliant you are, if nobody's listening, you failed. And so my book, Unique, is really about how to get your your passionate, burning message that's just, inside of you. How do you get it out there and get people to hear it? That's incredibly important.
Oh, man. When will it be out, or is it out already?
Just came out. So you can find it. You'll notice I'm an obsessive writer, Jesse. I can't help it. I do a lot of books, but I've got the same passionate message to help people get their story told. So I think Unique is a really great book for anybody listening who has a dream and you don't know how to take that first step to get it out there, get it heard, get it in front of the right audience. That's Unique: Telling Your Story in the Age of Brands and Social Media is for you.
A couple minutes left in our interview. Entrepreneurship, because I think that's very, very important, because there are times, when you can't, in a sense, find someone to link up with you. At that point, you have to kind of sort of decide whether you're going to just listen to what's being told around you or you're going to kind of sort of do it yourself, i.e. look at Huffington Post. It's an amazing piece of work that Arianna Huffington created and started, but there are other news outlets out there, so they, in a sense, kind of sort of did it and kind of created their own brand, and now they're huge.
Yeah. Yeah, I have I'm a blogger on Huffington Post, so I see from the inside just how big it really is. And it was just another website. You're right. It's just another website. But she had this. And that's another thing about entrepreneurs. I'm going to tell you something. In a cluttered world that we live in today, original ideas stand out. You don't have to be the first to the starting line, but trust me, you have to be original. And I think most people's ideas that I hear out there are just rip-offs. They're just copying somebody else with a little twist to it. The truth is, think original. Be original, because I think original voices, and we're all creative. Don't ever let me hear you say you're not creative, because look at kids. Ever find a kid that's not creative? We're all born creative, but we grow up, we forget about it, we put it aside, we think we have to be rational and adult. But the truth is, we can all tap into the creativity that's inside of us and create original ideas. And I would really encourage people, think originally. If you want to be an entrepreneur, if you want to be an innovator, the way to stand out is to create an original idea. It works every time.
Oh, man, this has been amazing. Phil, we have about, I think, less than a minute left in the show.
Okay.
In the half with you. How do we get a hold of you, get a hold of your work?
Well, I'm on, as you mentioned, my blog at philcooke.com. I'm the Cook with an E, Philcooke. Philcooke.com is my blog where I wrestle with these issues of media, faith, culture, all these kind of things. I'd love people to come and check it out and jump into that conversation. I'm on Twitter at PhilCooke, Philcooke. So I'd love for people to join me on Twitter because, I'm a little on the ADD side, as you've noticed. So Twitter, 140 characters or less is like my second language. I love it. And so I'm on there frequently, and I would love to engage with people and start those kind of conversations. So please jump in there. I'd love to talk to you.
Beautiful. I mean, you're sharing your work. I mean, you're actually living it. I mean, you're plugged into social media. I mean, you are blazing the trails, man. I just want to say thanks again for joining us and for agreeing to do this interview. I was particularly blessed from it.
Well, thank you, Jesse. It's a great interview. You're a terrific interviewer. Great questions. Always enjoy tangling up with people that love the subject and really get into it. So thanks for the opportunity. I've had a great time.
Me too. Beautiful. Folks, stay tuned. During our third segment, we have Aaron Hill from the New Thought Jazz Group Fruition coming to share one of his brand new singles and talk about his up-and-coming concert. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Jenny is looking for an adventure.
I love new cities, the culture, the architecture, the food.
Joy prefers a little R&R.
Just give me a book and cozy chair along the ocean, and maybe a massage or spa treatment.
Both are spiritually minded.
The cave temples in Sri Lanka sound amazing. What a life-changing experience.
Studying Eastern spirituality, going right to the source, it's the journey of a lifetime.
Both Jenny and Joy will find exactly what they're seeking on Spirit of the East, a 14-day voyage from Singapore to Mumbai. And so will you. Join us April 17th to May 1st, 2013. Spirit of the East, a perfect blend of relaxation and adventure. Explore more at unity.org/Spirit of the East.
The world is full of voices, advertising, television, politics, colleagues, family, and friends. All are too happy to tell us how to live. In all of that noise, it's easy to miss the one voice that matters, your own soul. What would happen if you could hear that voice? Imagine the clarity, confidence, and courage that would be yours and the life you could create. Join Janet Connor, best-selling author of Writing Down Your Soul, The Lotus and the Lily, and Your Soul Wants 5 Things, as she and her guests explore how to hear the call of the soul and create the soul-directed life. Live Thursday at 1 p.m. Central, only on Unity Online Radio, the voice of an awakening world.
Go inside to find my God.
You've been listening to Living on Purpose with Jesse Harriet. If you have a question or comment about today's broadcast, or if you'd like to join in the discussion, friend us on Facebook at Jesse Harriet, or email us at livingonpurpose@unityonlineradio.org. Now back to Living on Purpose.
And we're back. Joining us for our third and final segment is Aaron Hill from the New Thought Jazz Group Fruition, who's no stranger to Living on Purpose. He's been on the show a couple times and has some great work out there in the jazz and music genre. Welcome to the show, Aaron.
Thanks a lot, Jesse.
Tell us a bit about what's going on now. You have a wonderful piece that we're going to play. Tell us a bit about this piece and the inspiration behind it.
Yes, about 2 years ago, we released a jazz CD called Simply Love, which is actually what the upcoming concert is based around. And the song is basically a remake of, I believe if you have the Ribbon in the Sky, Stevie Wonder. It's an instrumental remake of that song.
Ah, okay. And you mentioned a jazz concert coming up on February 9th?
Yes, on Saturday, February 9th from 6 to 8 p.m., we're going to have a New Thought Jazz All About Love concert, and it's going to be here in Baltimore, Maryland. But the thing I want to let all the listeners know is that you don't have to be here in Baltimore to view the concert, because we're going to stream the concert live so that anyone can watch it from anywhere around the world. So, I just want to encourage all the listeners to tune in. And I'm not sure if you want me to give the information now or later.
Yes. But go ahead.
Okay. Well, they can tune in. Again, it's a New Thought Jazz All About Love Valentine's concert. We're going to feature some contemporary music as well as some spiritual love music. It's going to be on Saturday, February 9th from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And to tune in, go to newthoughtjazz.com. That's www.newthoughtjazz.com. And you can purchase your live stream tickets there because you can actually watch right on the website. And if you're in the Baltimore, D.C., or Virginia area, or you're coming through the area around that time, feel free to come on and join us. You can also purchase your tickets online for that as well, or at the door. Tickets to attend are $20, and tickets to live stream are $10. And again, that's at www.newthoughtjazz.com. We've got a lot of beautiful music planned for that night. And so come on and join us. If you're into New Thought and you're into jazz, come on and join us.
Beautiful, beautiful. Folks, you owe it to yourself, and you owe it to that special someone who supports all the crazy ideas that we sometimes have. So we're going to play a clip now, or we're going to play the entire song, that is Ribbon in the Sky, rendition from Aaron Hill from the New Thought Jazz Group Fruition. Listen in. what a wonderful, wonderful way to end that song, man. That was a good piece. Stevie Wonder would be proud. The worst thing you could do is take a song that someone else wrote or whatever and just kind of botch it up, man. You really just jazzed that up for our generation. I'm telling you, that was right there.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
We have about like a minute and a half left. Tell us how we can get access to this CD and purchase it and all that.
Yes, the name of the CD again is called Simply Love. If you do you can do a Google search for Simply Love by Fruition Music, or you can just go right to iTunes, Amazon, Rhapsody, eMusic, any major online digital distributor, and check out. Search for Simply Love by Fruition Music. Also, again, if you tune into the concert, this entire concert is going to be based around this CD and some of our other New Thought Jazz, All About Love music that we have coming out. So, once again, Saturday, February 9th from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Visit the website at www.newthoughtjazz.com for live streaming tickets to view right from your tablet, mobile device, or computer, or to attend as well. And just come on and join us with this New Thought Jazz movement.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, that's pretty much our show for today. Thanks so much for joining. Special thanks to our earlier guest, Phil Cooke, and his assistant, Kelsey, for putting this interview together. And special thanks to you, Aaron Hill, for joining us and sharing your work. Much blessings to you and continued success or whatever. I enjoy the work you're doing. Just keep doing it, brother. Keep sharing that music.
Yeah, same to you, too, as well, Jesse. I appreciate you and what you do as well.
Beautiful. That's our show for this week, guys. You can check out the archive of the show by logging on to www.unity.fm. Scroll down to the right-hand side of the screen of the program directory and click on Living on Purpose, and you can download the archive for free, or you can download the Stitcher app and then download the archive. So you can get the archives from YouTube, not from YouTube, excuse me, from iTunes. But that's all, folks. And remember to live on purpose. And join us on next week for another special guest and a delightful conversation.
Thank you for listening to Living on Purpose with Jesse Harriet. Join us every Tuesday at 9 a.m. Central for more insights into spiritual psychology, ancient wisdom, and how it connects to your life today. Living on Purpose, only on Unity Online Radio, the voice of an awakening world. This program is brought to you in part by www.jesseharriet.com, where psychology meets spirituality. Connect with us socially on Facebook and YouTube. Keyword search Jesse Harriet.
What if you were intentional about your life, committed to having more energy and being more vibrant? Join Reverend Temple Hayes, Senior Minister of First Unity at Unity Campus in St. Petersburg, Florida, as she guides you on a journey to an intentional and energetic life. Empower your life and fully express the wondrous energy, love, and joy you hold in your wildest imagining. Joyfully and actively know that more important than what happens after you die is the deeper and enriching concern for what happens while you're living. How can you experience an incredible life right now? Learn how each week on The Intentional Spirit, Seeing and Being, Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Central Time, right here on Unity Online Radio, the voice of an awakening world.
In quiet moments of prayer, let go of any concern. Anchor your trust deep in the realization that with God all things are possible. Never doubt it for a single moment.
This meditative moment is brought to you by Unity.
You know the saying, a good deed is its own reward? Well, moving toward a plant-based diet and vegan lifestyle is one kind and compassionate act that isn't just its own reward. It will also reward you with vibrant health, boundless energy, and easy way to keep your weight where you want it. And according to yogis and Unity's co-founder Charles Fillmore, even give a boost to your spiritual life. On Main Street Vegan, the radio program named for the popular book, Victoria Moran will make your move in a vegan direction easy, fun, affordable, and delicious. With enticing topics and entertaining guests every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Central Time, only on Unity Online Radio, the voice of an awakening world.
Are you ready to take a quantum leap into greater self-acceptance and love and freedom from suffering by connecting all your parts, especially those you deem broken? If so, join Mark Anthony Lord, founder and spiritual director of the Bodhi Spiritual Center in Chicago, every Monday at 1 p.m. Central, as he helps you understand there is nothing wrong with you. You are perfect just the way you are. This show is for you, so you can know you're not alone, and that you really matter, and that miracles are right here within you and all around you. From this knowing, anything and everything becomes possible. Each week, Mark will be joined by amazing guests who share their journeys of awakening. Listen live on Mondays at 1 p.m. Central, or download the podcast at your convenience, or subscribe via iTunes to Nothing Broken Here with Mark Anthony Lord, only on Unity Online Radio, the voice of an awakening world.
Are you ready to experience the rich interconnection of spirituality, orientation, and identity? If so, plan to attend Liberating Your Divine Identity, a retreat at Unity Village during Pride Month, June 9th to the 12th. This soul-filled retreat is facilitated by LGBTQIA+ Unity ministers, with workshops and ceremonies to cultivate a deeper awareness of our spiritual nature. Register at unityvillage.org/I Am Divine 2022.